What is up? It's a Figure Hunter. Today we're going to do an optical heart rate accuracy tracking for CrossFit and high intensity interval training for the Garmin Epix, and we're going to compare it to the heart rate accuracy of the Apple Watch Ultra. Now both these watches is important to evaluate their accuracy for heart rate tracking, especially when doing the world's most, in my opinion, intense exercise with the most wrist flex. So it's not just the intensity, it's the wrist flex coupled with that, the barbells and the, all the different things go into CrossFit or high intensity interval training. So to see if the extra weight and the extra size and just the extra movements has an effect on the Apple Watch Ultra as well as the Garmin Epix, because these two are going head to head in my final review. So I released the Apple Watch Ultra heart rate accuracy last night, so we're not going to get into the details there, but I'm going to talk about its accuracy relative to what we're going to now see in the Garmin Epix accuracy in just a minute. Now, I do believe these heart rate tests are the most crucial for a heavier watch and in testing a optical heart rate sensor in today's world, because it's not steady state running, and it's not even just mountain biking, because even if you're going downhill mountain biking, you have vibration, but you're not really flexing. But in the CrossFit and high intensity world, high intensity interval training world or type of workouts, you're moving kettlebells like this, you're moving barbells like this, you're moving many different things, you're walking on your hands, and so it's going to get the most extreme level of test, and that's what's going to bring about the most analytical results. Plus, in the CrossFit world, you're moving the watch up your arm, if you are using the watch, to wear a wrist wrap or a hand wrap or a wrist sleeve, so the watch is getting even more movement. It's going on different places on your arm, and so all these things, in my opinion, matter to determine if it's a good idea to wear the watch on your wrist or connect it to a chest strap to get more trustworthy accuracy with today's devices. So what we're going to do in looking at this is, I took this through 26 workouts. Now the test for the Apple Watch Ultra was 18 workouts, and it's all the same workouts here, but just an additional more because I started testing the Garmin Epix before I even received the Apple Watch Ultra. We're going to look at the workouts by chart. Then we're going to look at the percentage accuracy of all the workouts. Then we're going to take out the two worst or most erroneous workouts just to relieve or release some of the noise and look at the accuracy on the baseline, and then we're going to talk about it. So with that, let's dive into the charts. And if you like this review, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more. All right, so diving in, this workout looked effectively pretty great except for one blip in the middle of the Metcon. This one was more of a steady state. I think it was just a long workout of just kettlebell swings every minute and a half, and you can see that it caught some of the intensity, but just on the wrong interval timing, so the heart rate was just not keeping up. And here we have a dumpster fire, and there's a couple, there's literally two dumpster fires. This is a steady state workout where it's just sort of like constant movement. It looks like my heart rate was from 150 to 165, 165 around there, and the peaks are the Garmin, and I didn't see this that often, and I think they released an update that didn't fix that. The only other dumpster fire was on the low end, nothing like this, so they are definitely working on the algorithm at all times because it's gotten a lot of updates since I've gotten the watch. Here, this is relatively excellent, sort of near perfect. The big dip in the middle of the Metcon portion is just because I took the watch off because I had an issue. This is relatively fine. Again, I'm not looking for the variance. To me, it doesn't matter. It's picking up the overall intensity, even though it's not tracking perfectly. Here, that's excellent. Here's another one, steady state run, excellent. Another one, this is great. This is excellent. Another really, really great performance on that one. Another really great performance on that one. It's not nearly perfect on every lifting cycle, but it's, for the most part, capturing, 80% of the lifting cycles, the lifting portion. So this one's excellent, although it's got a couple of little blips, but statistically wouldn't matter that much in the overall exertion calculation. This one, excellent. Obviously, Garmin didn't come on and start the watch until a little bit later in the workout, but this one's great other than one blip in the middle at like 32 minutes. This one's excellent. The chest strap went out because I went on a run and forgot to take the phone with me. This was excellent. Obviously, some of these back squats in this last lifting cycle, it just didn't pick up the intensity on the lifting portion. So you see that blip on 3 out of the 4 of those hills. Here, that's, near perfect. Here, that's excellent for the most part, just the casual, like an outdoor biking ride where I did push it up towards 160 on the heart rate side, but still good and excellent as far as a CrossFit workout with lots of fluctuations, lots of spikes, and then lots of an overall peak that rose up to nearly 170. This is excellent except for those 2 weird blips. So that's another time where it's randomly spiked to the high side, but track the rest of the workout. All right, so here's another one. It missed some of the lifting portion, but nailed the Metcon and nailed actually, some of the general parts of the lifting for the most part. Here, some erratic behavior in the middle. This is actually where I had the same erratic behavior on the Apple Watch Ultra. It tracked perfectly at parts and then just sort of completely abnormally at other parts. Here, again, relatively good. It dropped lower than expected in 2 different points or 3 different points in the workout. This was an older workout, actually. Just these things aren't in chronological order. Here, obviously missed the front end and wasn't perfect sort of the first third, but tracked in general the level of exertion, but then nailed the higher level exertion. This is another really, I would say, pretty excellent one because it's tracking the overall flow of the workout, even with some variance. This one's an odd running one where it just sort of randomly went higher for a few minutes in the middle, just a couple minutes. This one felt like it was just all over the place. There was a lot of, particular movements that might have caused it to be like that, but it was more like 1.5 or 2 minute EMOMs, more constant work, but it just sort of seemed opposite. But technically, if you take this, it's going to basically average out to about the same exertion score, chest strap to the Garmin optical heart rate monitor, because it's sort of averaging like the same. And this one's a full-on dumpster fire. This was super hot yoga, and I think with heavy back squats as well as with something like heavy heated yoga, you're going to have your blood pressure change direction, and I felt like there were different points, especially when it's showing here, that I felt like my heart was beating very strangely. I think that's what it was. And here, another relatively excellent workout other than one little peak in the beginning part of the lifting session. So here are the accuracy results for all the workouts. If you just take the statistical value of the differences in heart rate, 89% accurate. To me, that's just below 90. So to me as well, again, I would want to use a chest strap because I want the extra 10%. I want to make sure I'm getting, closer to 100. But if you take out the 2 worst workouts, so now we're going to talk about like the 2 worst, because it had 2 dumpster fires out of the 26. So that's not that terrible. There's the final tally. Obviously, this is not nearly as perfect once you remove the 2 worst workouts, because it had, 2 dumpster fires in there compared to the Apple Watch Ultra. And, that is for what it is, 98% on the Apple Watch Ultra versus 92% here. These are both really high scores, and this is still a really high score in, the optical heart rate world, sensor world. So let's talk about it. In today's relative terms, that is a good score. It's not an excellent score. So in today's relative terms, even with CrossFit, even with huge swings in your heart rate or huge spikes that are maintained for a long period of time, when you're flexing across the wrist, across a bunch of different movements, you're all over the place, it's a good, solid score, and it is incredibly better than sensors of the past and even current sensors from some of those on the market like Coros and Suunto specifically, and even better than some of the relatively more recent Polar watches. So it's still a very good score, but also when you compare it to some of the best sensors, the Apple Watch Ultra came in at 98% accurate, and even across all workouts was 96% accurate, and did not have some of those dumpster fires that this had, the Garmin Epix had. So there was not those horrific moments. And that's the thing that, for me is, I take issue with the Garmin heart rate sensor, but I also take issue with, in my opinion, for CrossFit training or for any rigorous, truly rigorous training, I take issue with the need to wear the watch. Now, if you are doing CrossFit, there's no need, and it's probably not even a good idea for you to try to wear a watch while doing the workout, because you are dealing with heavy barbells and Olympic lifting and a lot of movement and putting on wrist wraps or hand wraps to do pull-up or bar muscle ups or whatever you're doing. And so that's going to mean you need to move the watch. The watch is always getting moved. It's in one hand, part of your wrist for one part, and it's another part of your wrist for another part where you're putting on something that's going to provide support. So it makes no sense. Plus, you're swinging yourself around. Barbells, you could easily hit it up against the rack. It doesn't make sense for you to need the watch on your wrist at all times. So a chest strap creates perfect accuracy and creates less annoyance when you're in the middle of a rigorous workout getting to your breaking point physically. So that is the final review. So the final summation, the Garmin Epix, I would say came in at 92% accurate. The Apple Watch Ultra came in at 98% accurate. So I would say that's a pretty healthy gap. And the Apple Watch Ultra was the only probably sensor that I would fully trust for full evaluation of your exertion level for each workout, which would flow through to your training analytics. Stay tuned for my final review of the Apple Watch Ultra versus the Garmin Epix, because there's a lot to be said about what I just said. The training analytics from the exertion score or the rigor evaluation of your workout in particular that falls outside of the accuracy of a heart rate sensor or not. So with that, it's a Fit Gear Hunter. Thanks so much for watching.